What's up, everybody? Welcome back to Pens and Tea. My name is Carrie, and today we're going to talk about my top 5 fountain pen inks of 2020. It's probably not 2020 technically when this video goes up anymore because, man, I have been crushing the videos lately, just making so many of them, and there's only so many days. But regardless of whether it's 2021 or 2020 still when this video goes up, these are my top 5 of 2020. And we'll see if it changes. I'm gonna start with one that is my number one, obviously. You guys probably know it already because I talk about it all the time. I never shut up about it, and I'm just gonna get it out of the way. And of course, Montblanc, James Purdy & Sons, single malt. I've said many times over, that this ink just does something to me that is unexplainable. It's like this warm, kind of burnt orange, depending on the color or the flow of the ink in the pen. It leans a little more orange or a little bit more reddish brown, depending on how wet your writer is. But there's just, this ink just touches my soul somehow. It is a scented ink that smells like a sweet whiskey. I just love it so much. And some of the pens, like my Pilot Custom 823, you can actually smell the ink in the feed. You can't smell it on the paper. I've never had an ink ever that you can smell it on the paper. But I don't think that scented ink is for the person you're giving the letter to, or when you go through your journal and read it later. Like, it's not for that. It's for the experience that it creates while you're doing the writing. And I think that's part of the reason why I love this so much, is because I adore the smell. I'm not really sure why. I'm not really a drinker. And by not really, I mean basically not at all. But it just smells so good. And I love the color. I love the bottle. I love the pens that it's in. I very much love like warm, comforting, soothing browns and reds, like those deep, like almost like fall, like, you know, you'd put in like a cognac pen, or, you know, like a mocha brown type pen, or like the amber Pilot Custom 823. Like, I just love it so much, and I can't ever let it go. It's the only ink I've ever bought a second bottle of, because as you can tell, I'm almost about halfway through this, and I don't want to run out. And I don't know if this is going to be a forever ink or if it's going to be a limited edition. I have no idea, but I bought a second bottle despite the fact that it is very pricey. Of course, my number one would have to be expensive, but I absolutely adore it, and I'm okay with it because I just love it that much. So I had to get that one out of the way first because I talk about it so often. So out of all of these, this is actually one of the newest inks that I've had. I got this, I think at the very beginning of 2020 or the very end of 2019, but didn't really use it very much. I can't exactly remember when. But one of the oldest inks that I've had that you've also seen featured before is Diatramentis Cola. Fun fact, this is also scented. This one I've had for a very long time. I like to keep this inked up in my Platinum Century 3776, which is the first gold nib pen. And if you've watched my, like, I think it was a top 5 pens or 2020, I think that's what I named it, something like that. That pen is just so sentimental. And again, much like this, I think it's because I always inked it up with this. And it just, the scent brings something. It smells to me like candy colas, like the Haribo, like cola candies. It doesn't smell like a can of Coke, like if you just crack one open and take a whiff. It doesn't really smell like that. It more smells like the candy version. It's a warm red as well, but it does, warm brown, sorry, but it leans much more towards the red spectrum. And I just love it so much. Yeah, that kind of gives you a good idea. and it also shows you how much I've used. Like I said, I really like to ink it up in my platinum. Again, you can smell it while you're writing. In fact, because this is pretty much something that I put in my platinum all the time, and I've been doing so for a couple years now, even when the platinum's not inked up, the feeds kind of smells like this. But it's just, yeah, it's just so special to me. It doesn't get me quite as much as this one, but it's a very close second. So I really like those. Stepping away from the kind of warm brown reddish tones, we're gonna go into two bluish types. And the first one is going to be Sailor Manyo Kikyu. This is also a relatively new find of this year. And I bought this from Wonder Pens in Toronto. It's kind of a blue, deep blue color. You can get a red sheen with this, but you've got to lay it on pretty thick in order to get that. I bought this at the same time as I bought my Kaweco Sport Skyline Gray, and I inked the two of them up together. And again, for whatever reason, I tend to pair them together quite frequently. I have had other inks in that pen, but usually it's this one. As you can see here, I've used a little bit of the bottle. It's probably like a quarter of the bottle so far, and I very much like it. It does stain some things, so I wouldn't put it in some precious pens, but something like the Kaweco is like perfect. And I just really, really like the color. It's very dye heavy, which I like. Because then it fully saturates everything. And on Tomoe River paper, I mean, what ink doesn't look good on Tomoe River paper, but this one especially really pops. So I quite like that. And I like the bottle too. I think it's super cute. It's just square, but I really like it. And then an ink that I've had for a very long time, just like my Diatramentis, but I've really been enjoying in 2020. And to be honest, I think it's made my last couple 2020 favorite inks. I know for sure, I think it made the 2019. I'm not sure about 2018. Can you hear it snapping? Ha ha ha. That is Lamy Turquoise. So I've used about half the bottle now, maybe a little bit more than half, but it is such a stunning turquoise. It is a true turquoise color in my opinion, and it has a gorgeous red sheen. If you get it really wet. I'm trying to open it, but the bottom keeps spinning. Has any of you ever used like the blotting paper on a Lamy bottle? I never actually have. I used it once just to try it, to say that I used it, but like I don't actually use it on the regular. It's just so stunning, and I'll try and show you this. I don't know if the camera will pick up on it. You can kind of see the red sheen in the crusty bits on the top of the bottle there. I love these little bottles. They're kind of like small little saucers with something that I won't comment what the bottom looks like. You know, I like the fact that they're super sturdy. You're never gonna knock them over. And I love, love, love the ink. Turquoise is not an ink that I go to all of the time. Clearly, you know, I prefer warmer browns, but if I'm gonna go for a cooler tone and go into the turquoise, especially for a wet writing pen, this is my main go-to. I've tried many, many inks from Lamy, including all of their new ones, and just nothing beats this one in my opinion. Okay, and then number 5. Number 5 is funny because I don't actually have a bottle of this, but I got into, really into ink samples, like really into ink samples in 2020. So much so that I actually kind of lost track of how many I bought. And I ended up buying 4 ink samples of this one ink, this unnamed as of yet ink. You can see the color though. It's very gorgeous, like deep brown red. It's more reddy purple than brown, but it has like that sort of tone to it. I ended up buying 4 samples of these. This is all I have left, about 1.5 milliliters. I will buy a bottle of this when I'm out of here and place my next order at Wonder Pens, which is my local pen shop. And by local, I mean it takes me an hour to get there, so I order it online, but it's as close as I get. And this is Sailor Manyo Kuzu. So it's essentially the exact same as this, just a different color. So I actually, fun fact, bought this by mistake. I meant to buy a sample, but somehow I put the whole bottle in my cart rather than the sample, and I must not have been paying attention. I really don't know how it happened. I really don't. But I ended up buying the bottle rather than a sample, and luck had it that I love it. And in fact, I'm going to buy this bottle as well. I don't plan on buying too many ink bottles because I actually do prefer samples now, because I like to use like a wide array of ink. And I don't go through bottles very often. Sorry, my eye got very itchy. So I prefer samples, to be honest, but I mean, like I said, I've went through so many. Like I said, I have 1.5 milliliters roughly left in here. And that means I've gone through 9 milliliters. And how much is this? This is 50. So I would have gone through 1/5 of a bottle already. And I love it a lot. It is actually relatively easy to clean out of pens. Now, granted, I've only put it in 2 different Pilot pens that you can completely take apart. I put it in a Pilot Explorer and a Pilot Kuno, so I can completely take those apart. So if it's in a pen that you can't, then it could become like this one that is a little bit more difficult to clean. But from the 2 pens I've had this in, I've had really good experiences with it, and I love the color. So that is my top 5 ink. These, I would say, the Lamy turquoise, both Sailors, the Kuzu and Kikyu, are probably all on par with each other for how much I love them. And then if I had to put an order, this, I mean, obviously is number 1, and this would be number 2. I highly doubt there will ever be an ink that surpasses this. I really can't see it. I can't. I mean, I bring it on. Bring it on. If there ever is one, then I would gladly introduce it to my life. But I really don't think that there's going to be one that can knock this out at the number 1 spot. We'll see, I guess, in 2025, maybe, if I'm still doing these, if this ever gets outranked. But I would be very surprised. So guys, that is my top 5 inks of 2020. Do any of these 5 make your top 5? Have you tried any of these? Do you like any of them? Do you dislike any of them? Because the great thing about fountain pen life is that things that I love, other people won't. So let me know in the comment section down below what your favorite inks of 2020 were. And thank you for watching. I really appreciate it. Happy holidays. Stay safe, guys. And I'll see you next time. Bye.